Welcome to another episode of Golf News Chat Show. Here we are going to discuss one of the key points that has happened in the last couple of days, which is going to come into force on October 1st. That is the major rule changes announced by the ICC, the International Cricket Council. And the prominent among them is the use of saliva. Saliva has been a part and parcel of cricket because that's how the bowlers get that advantage. They shine the ball one side and makes it a level playing field for the bowlers under testing conditions. But what was an experimental process where due to COVID the saliva was not used. So the alternative was the sweat. Sweat has become mandatory. If you use saliva, you'll be penalized. So we are going to discuss about that as well as the other rule changes that has come into force. First, let me bring in to you Ashfaq, who has been a fast bowler himself, and Sadiq. Ashfaq is the assistant editor of Gulf News, and Sadiq is our opinion editor, and they play cricket regularly. Ashfaq, tell me, as a fast bowler, do you think it is going to help you, or is it going to be detrimental to your bowling?
Satish, thank you so much. Very interesting rule. It came into force like a couple of years ago, but when the COVID hit. But I think bowlers are kind of used to it now. But it definitely is a disadvantage to bowlers. Though it's disgusting to use saliva on the ball and then rub it, and then again ball is on the ground and then you again pick it up and use the saliva. I think it's also good for hygiene purposes. But I would say that batsmen will take advantage of this because this is fast bowlers' weapon to use saliva, to use sweat. But they still can use sweat.
Yeah. But it makes the ball one side heavier, isn't it, if you use sweat?
If you use sweat, it makes the ball one side heavier. You shine from that side where you're using the sweat and keep the other side rough. Yeah. So this helps. This helps in swinging the ball because the ball swings with the shine. Okay. So that's definitely an advantage for batsmen, a disadvantage for bowlers. They have to find some new ways.
But most importantly, you come from Pakistan, and I know Pakistan has been, some of the greatest fast bowlers used the reverse swing to the best effect by shining one side and using the rough to the other side. Now with the ball becoming heavier, do you think it's going to arrest the reverse swing as the ball gets older, maybe after 30 overs, 40 overs? That's when the bowlers become more lethal at that point of time. What do you think?
Absolutely, but it will be fine. I think it will not make big difference because after 20 over 30 overs, ball automatically becomes quite rough. Yeah. And if you keep the shine on one side, other side is rough. So and by 20-30 overs, bowlers have on us sweating as well because you are in the field for 20-30 overs and you are running around and you have enough sweat. So they can still do it. I think it won't be that much difference in the after 20-30 overs in reverse swing. The bowler should be fine if they know how to do it. If they are Waqar Yunus or Wasim Akram, they can do it.
And Sadiq, as a spinner, off spinner, the one side shine and with the saliva, it makes it easier because the ball is equal on both sides. But now when the sweat comes into play, where there is slightly more heaviness on one side, so isn't it good for you to use the drift of the ball to get the ball out and bring the ball in after that? It should help the spinners, isn't it?
It should help the spinners, ideally, Satish. Thank you very much for asking that very pertinent question. But also at the same time, applying saliva on the ball has been there with cricket and cricketers for a very long time. As spinners also, we used to shine the ball on one side so that the ball would dip more, as you would understand yourself. So that's going to take a little bit of adjusting. I think it will take some time for bowlers and spinners especially to get used to the sweat. I know it's been in works for the last couple of years, but again, the ability to shine the ball with sweat on one side, I think it did give the bowlers a level playing field in a sense, because as Ashfaq was just pointing out, batsmen might use this to their advantage. So does it mean going forward that cricket is going to be more orientated or let's say more advantageous to the batsman?
It has always been.
It's always been, and now you take something away from bowlers, especially fast bowlers, but spinners as well, as you understand yourself. With people like Budgie and others, they'll always use this saliva, the shine, to their advantage. So yes, I think personally it is going to impact. And if you ask me as a cricketer, I'm not for it. But since it has been brought in by the ICC, I think we'll have to all abide by it.
Having said that, what was also happening is by using saliva, where you use your sweet, some toffee or something, you add a little extra layer. So
some kind of cheating was there.
Cheating, or I wouldn't say some extra advantage the players were taking because the saliva, when it's sweet, then it adds a little extra layer and it makes it even more difficult for the batter. So I think that is taken out of the equation, isn't it, Ashwin?
Absolutely, you're right, spot on, Satish. Because some bowlers, most of the bowlers, they use chewing gum as well. If you're having chewing gum, your saliva becomes heavier because of the sweet. And when you use that saliva on the ball, it becomes heavier. So that gives them advantage. Either you stop them from chewing gum, or that's too much thing, because it's not possible. So this is good actually, and I would say.
But Ashwak, coming to that 1 minute, we can also apply some sunscreen and all that. So that can also add a little extra shine in that sense. But is there any ruling on that?
There's nothing on that. You have given them the idea now. But I think bowlers are quite smart, because when the ball is new, they don't use sweat or saliva, because it's new ball and the shine is on the both sides. So now it's bowler's job to how they use the seam. If they know how to use the seam, it will not make much difference.
But Satish, here I had a counter question for you. For instance, there are different playing conditions. Playing in the subcontinent isn't same as playing in England or Australia, for that matter. So in the subcontinent, obviously, it's hotter conditions. The players tend to sweat more, and it helps there. But what about, for instance, in
I know what you're asking about. Two things. One, in places like England or like these cooler conditions, New Zealand or these when the conditions are slightly favorable, which is cooler basically, you don't really need to worry about the condition of the ball, because number one, it doesn't deteriorate so much, and secondly, always there is a moisture in the air and it starts swinging any time of the day. So you really don't. Yes, the seam, the shine, keeping one side shiny is always there, but it comes in more predominant once it comes into the subcontinent wickets, because that's where the ball goes through a bit of a wear and tear much faster, and that's when after 30 overs it really becomes really rough at one side, and then the shine keeps it a fairly decent on the other side, and that's when you start using the reverse. Yes, to coming to your question, the sweat is not you don't need a bucket full of sweat. You just need probably a little few drops of sweat, which makes it and what happens is every ball, when the ball pitches, most of the times when it hits the seam, you don't get a mark on that. But only when it's not hitting the seam, on the side when it hits, you get a small, probably this size of a mark, which needs about probably 1 drop of sweat or 2 drops of sweat to rub it, and then you start shining it, and then that is gone, and then it retains the shine after that. So,
please, to add to your trying to start this question. When you're playing in England or Australia, wickets are green, it's windy, and you get a lot of advantage. Wickets are fast bowler friendly. But when you're playing in subcontinent, wickets are slow. That's when the fast bowlers use the roughness to get. Otherwise, it's batting friendly wickets. Right. That's when the reverse swing was invented by these big grades, because they want to do something on these wickets. So that gave them added advantage to keep the ball rough on one side and keep it shining on the other side. So that gives them advantage.
Yeah, I mean, just to take it forward, once there is a bit of a grass on the wicket, the moment the ball hits the wicket turf, it can move because it assists there. Whereas on a flat wicket, it's like a cement wicket where there's no grip on the ball. It just skids off the wicket. If there's at least if it's a little sandy, that can at least help the bowlers to cut the ball and get the cutters in. Right. And that's when they are trying to cut the ball, the reverse swing comes into play, and that helps them. But if it's a just plain batting surface, flat wicket, then I think it becomes a bowler's graveyard. So it becomes very difficult for them to get anything out of it, and the batsmen keep playing them, and it makes it easier for the batsman to play around it.
Yeah, but then here's the question: having played, you played first-class cricket yourself. Don't you think, for instance, this rule, when there's no saliva on the ball, wouldn't it change the aerodynamics of the ball itself?
It does. See, what happens is like it. Again, if you look at each ball is a different texture. If you look at the white ball is a different texture from the red ball. The pink ball is even different. So again, the color of the paint, the surface, what they are using, everything makes each ball different. Yes, saliva was in place because like when we started, it was more about sweat. And then when the ball technology changed, the saliva became more friendly than the sweat because it didn't add weight to the ball. So it makes it, like the balance was perfect. So now I think the last 2 years when the aerodynamics have changed, that's why I think the bowlers must have got used to that. But still, there is a slight disadvantage to the bowlers at this point of time because yes, the balance is not perfect. There is a little imbalance.
Precisely the point I was trying to come to.
That imbalance, if you use it well, you can, once the ball is rough on one side and the shine is on the other side, you can use it to your advantage by bringing the reverse swing. For that, you need to perfect that art of reverse swing, as well as you need to bowl at a good pace to get the reverse swing generally, because otherwise the reverse swing, even if it happens, it won't really catch the batsman by surprise.
And Pakistan seems to have a good reserve of fast bowlers.
If bowlers still watch Wasim Akram and Waqar Yunus videos to learn how to do the reverse swing and
the toe crushers.
the king of swing. But Satish, in this new rules, there's one good advantage for the bowlers as well, because when the batsmen get catch out, and even if they cross the crease, the new batsman will face the bowler. That's the advantage.
That's one thing which in Test cricket, especially when you're looking at the tail enders, what happens is when there is a shot, we run and then somehow crossover. The good batsman crossover and he can get strike. But that will not happen anymore when the new rule changes, where once the batsman is out, you take 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs, it doesn't matter. The new batsman has to take strike. So that's a big change as well.
How do you see that change? That's what I mean.
It's a fair change because just like the way you get caught out or bowled, that when the ball is taken, the catch is taken, the batsman used to take advantage of the situation. But I think the rule is fair in this sense, where the striker is out and the new striker comes in, unless it's a run out, where you're out in the non-striker end, the new striker takes strike is the right approach. I think that's been addressed.
In the fairness of things.
Yes, and another big thing is now the players need not have worry about man-cutting a player, because that's become legal now. If a man-cut out is done, I don't think even the bowler needs to warn the non-striker, because he should know the rule by now. Yeah, it's a run out straight away. So that's a pretty good rule, because as we all talk, the game is loaded in favor of the batsman. That's because batsman gets only one chance. The one mistake he makes, he's out. But now, with this, at least because he can't take unfair advantage, he can't go for a quick single, he has to be within the crease. So that's a pretty good rule as well. And another one is, Ashfaq, we discussed it, the fielding position.
Fielding position, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
you can't change, sometimes what happens is the fielders can be altered during as a batsman.
When the ballers start running.
Yeah, as a batsman, you see where the players are, where the fielders are.
The positioning is,
because you create
make a mental picture.
Picture so that you play that field and then you play advantage of that. You want to hit, you want to play a quick single, or you want to go for 2. So you make your own plan every ball. That's how the batsman starts up every delivery before he takes strike. Now if there is any alteration after the bowler takes a run up, and that is penalized with 5 runs, penalty runs. That's pretty good as well.
Good rule, good rule.
And the other major point I think is the overrate. Overrate earlier, when the team bowls slowly, they will be penalized some 10% of the match fee, 15% of the match fee, 50% of the match fee. But that didn't have any impact on the outcome of the game. But the recent experimentation with the T20, where I think even Asia Cup it happened, where if they are given an allocated time, you need to finish the over at this hour. If you are 1 over short by the time that timer closes down, cutoff time is over, then you have to add 1 extra fielder inside the 30-yard circle. That makes it, it gives the bowling team a disadvantage, because obviously the batting team can take advantage of the 1 extra fielder. Now that has been even brought into the ODIs as well. It's not just T20, even the ODIs also has been brought in. So some of the pretty good changes there.
Another thing to make the game faster, I think now the batsman has to be in the crease after the batsman get out within 2 minutes. In one day in Test cricket, and in T20 it's 190 seconds. They have to reach the crease within 190 seconds.
That's from the dressing rooms.
Yes,
dressing room,
and,
yes.
and if you don't reach, then you can be timed out. There is another 9 ways a batsman can get out, like you're bowled, caught, stumped, run out, mankered out, or whatever. This is called hit wicket, handling the ball, and hitting the ball twice, because hitting the ball twice is when there is a catch going to the fielder. You hit the ball again and like make sure that the ball doesn't go to the, hitting the ball twice, obstructing the fielders. So there are many ways to get out, and this is something called timed out, where you don't reach the crease within that particular stipulated time, you can be out.
Satish, I think overall these rules were overdue. I think it's a good for the game. It will make the game interesting.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And faster.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, especially in the modern day and age where, everyone's...
I think what happens is maybe the ball companies, the manufacturing companies also might change the structure of the leather to suit the sweat instead of the saliva. So there will be some changes happening, but altogether I think it's pretty good, and it also...
Fast bowlers will have to work harder now. Anyways.
But they always do. On this note, we close the chat show with Gulf News. Thanks for watching it, and please do follow us on all the social media channels. Thank you. Thanks, Vaishwak. Thanks, Sadiq.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.